This is Lipedema Podcast, Living with Lipedema. Here's your host, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah, the host of Lipedema. In this episode, we'll be talking about the daily struggles of living with lipedema through my eyes. My co-host, John, is my husband and an occupational therapist. Hi, honey.
Hello. All right, so we're going to talk about, like you said, your struggles. So let's start off with the very beginning. Getting out of bed, ready for the day.
We want the 1-2 punch, the hardest one first, of course.
Right.
Yes, getting ready for the day. This is going to be the most difficult one for me. The most traumatizing one for me and you sometimes. But yes, taking a shower, doing my hair, putting on compression garments and clothes, finding the right clothes. Those are all stressful and difficult scenarios. Sometimes, I don't wash my hair every single time I take a shower because it's just too much and it's too fatiguing. So I'll usually take a shower and then maybe later that day I'll wash my hair separately. But like for me to wash my hair, I have to take a break from the time I wash my hair until maybe I have to wait a few hours till I can dry it, and then maybe the next day I straighten it. I can't just do it all at once like I used to because my arms have become too big with lipedema and very heavy, and it's hard for me to hold my arms up that long. So I have to do my hair in stages, and I keep trying to think of different ways I can make it easier on myself. But for compression garments, yes, those are very hard to put on. A lot of people can relate to that. And I'm super thankful that I have you that can help me with that in the mornings. And then just finding the right clothes is not always easy, because my arms have gotten so much bigger. I may need, a specific size that would fit my body, but my arms need several sizes bigger. And so it's very difficult to find clothes that fit, but also difficult to find clothes that look decent because I don't want to look terrible. But at the same time, it's not easy to find clothes that look good when you have lipedema because the shape of your body is so disproportionate and weird.
How does that affect your self-image of yourself?
It's frustrating. I mean, I've been big my whole life, but I think this has been even more difficult because, when I was young, I always got bullied and made fun of or told, you're just fat and whatever. Now that I've learned that I've had lipedema since I was a teenager, I can look back and understand why. It didn't matter how hard I worked out or what diet I was on. My legs were always bigger. My arms were always bigger. And we know now why that is. But yeah, people are very judgmental. And though me having this is physically visible to everybody, people that have diseases that aren't physically seen by everybody don't get made fun of, so they can't relate. And so, yeah, just having that constant judgment looking at you, I think partially now that I know about lipedema and why I am the way I am, I think I've kind of let my guard down a little bit as to not care what people think because it's not something I can control myself. It's not something I can fix tomorrow with diet and exercise. It doesn't mean those things aren't going to help me, but it's not something I can fix myself. So I've had to learn to let go of what other people think because their opinion of me doesn't matter anymore.
I'm sure some people just isolate themselves and just say, I'm not going anywhere.
Sure. Because, I have friends that I have met in this lipedema world recently, and several of them don't go anywhere because of ridicule. They miss ball games and they miss graduations and birthday parties and different things because society is very judgmental. But at the same time, when you have lipedema, the bigger you get in the process before you get help, like it's not going to go anywhere. Diet and exercise doesn't get rid of it. I'm not saying those things aren't important, but you have to constantly be thinking, am I going to be able to fit in the chair at that restaurant? Or if we go to this ball game, are the bleachers going to hold me? Or whatever. You're constantly thinking, am I going to fit? Am I going to fit? And so, yeah, you end up not going anywhere. And so you just stay secluded in your house. And that can break you mentally because you do want to be active and going.
And I'm sure it makes it hard eating the right foods at restaurants or at other people's house.
1,000%. Because, I tell people now that I eat sticks and cardboard, and it's kind of a joke, but I've had to learn, and we'll go into this more in depth in a future episode with nutrition, but, I've had to learn to quit eating a lot of things. I eat no meat, no sugar, no dairy, no processed foods. Like what I eat is very limited. And so I can't just go out to a restaurant very easily or go to somebody's house very easily because it's just not going to work for me.
Other things that you have been involved with, like grocery shopping, now that's more difficult now as well.
Yes. Grocery shopping is hard. Used to, I could just run to the store and get all the shopping done in one day, from food to laundry detergent to whatever. Get it all done, get it home, put up, and all the things, and would never exhaust me. And now I have to do it in short spurts because I fatigue real easy. And sometimes I'll try to do it all at once, but then it catches up with me and I'll be like down for the count for a couple of days because I'm so fatigued. I've also been in a store with a grocery shopping cart full of whatever I'm doing, and I literally just have to take a few minutes because I can't walk anymore. So, yeah, that can be challenging.
And you've relied on me to help out a little more and go into the grocery store a little more than usual.
Yeah, especially last summer in July when I tore my meniscus, and then it just kept getting worse. And I got to a place of walking on a walker. I couldn't walk on some days. And I did have to depend on you a lot. And I'm finally healing my meniscus because, I couldn't have surgery on it. So I've had to find ways to heal that we could talk about later. But yeah, I've had to depend on you a lot. And thankfully that part's getting better. But yes.
Also cooking, cleaning the house, that has been more difficult for you as well.
Sure. Used to when you could just take a couple hours and knock out cleaning the house top to bottom. I can't do that anymore. I have to take it in stages and say, I'm going to clean this for an hour. And then tomorrow I might clean something else for an hour. If I tried to clean the whole house top to bottom like I used to, I can't do it. I physically can't. I don't even know if I could get it done in 8 hours when I used to get it done in just a few.
Another thing is difficult is exercise and activity. You used to love to dance and be active, and now you can't as much.
Yes. I mean, in my 20s, I was very active with water aerobics, weightlifting, step aerobics, all the things. When I was pregnant with my son, I literally only gained 5 pounds because I was so active. Even though I've always been a bigger girl, I physically was very fit. My blood work was always perfect. I was very muscular. But I've always had bigger legs and arms since I was 13. And even as a child, I probably was more overweight, but I noticed a big change after
childbirth.
No.
And menopause.
Yeah, childbirth and menopause was way worse, but I was talking about like when puberty. Like that was a big change. That's when I started noticing a difference in my knees, like not having a kneecap anymore and noticing all this fat built up around my knees. So yes, dancing is kind of how I tried to keep my legs in shape. And that probably did help the progression of my lipedema looking back. Because I did dance. I would dance for hours every week and stay very active, and now I don't.
And how has that affected you now? Things that were important to you that you used to be able to do, and now you can't do them.
I mean, I relate it to maybe someone who sings and they lose their vocal cords and they can't sing anymore. It's traumatizing. Or a figure skater. Maybe she loses a leg and can't figure skate anymore. To me, not dancing anymore was like getting my legs cut off. Like that was very hard for me. And now, physically, even if I wanted to dance around the house by myself, I physically can't dance a whole song. I just can't do it. I can't. My legs are too heavy. The difference with lipedema and just regular obesity is that it's very heavy. And I tell people it feels like walking around with concrete blocks as legs. And you just can't, they're heavy. You just can't move them.
Well, let's talk about employment. You were very active, employed for a long time, and now that has become more difficult as well.
Sure. Yeah, I've always been active with employment. I've always had 1 to 2 or 3 jobs at a time. Back since I was like 13, I've always worked, whether it was babysitting, cleaning houses, washing dogs, having my own business, working for other companies, whatever it was. I've always been very active since I was 13 and working as far as getting a paycheck. I worked before that. It was just like for a penny a weed, when I was young. But yes, I've always been super active. And so fast forward now, not being able to do that is very frustrating. And I think when I was in retail management for about 5 years or sales, walking on concrete all the time, I think made my legs worse. It is for the normal person, it's very hard on your legs and feet. And so having lipedema just amplified that. And I just didn't know that's what I had at the time. But that just caused other issues like tendonitis or plantar fasciitis or different things. And I just didn't understand it. It's just from the heaviness of my legs. And then fast forward now, working, coaching and being in front of a computer sitting, I can't really sit for hours either and coach. So the benefit of working from home is that I can break up my day in seeing clients and then taking a break to do my compression pumps for an hour or to do the vibration plate for a little while, whatever I need to do to keep my legs from swelling worse.
Also, it's affected your arms, and you were active in crafts and things like that, and now that's more difficult.
Very difficult. Yeah, when we had our leather store and making leather handbags and all the things, or when I was doing crafts, yes, I used to could sit for hours and hours and do that. But over time, my arms would just swell more and more and more. We couldn't figure out what it was, and I started having all these hard knots in my arms, and I've had doctors say, oh, that's just cyst, and it's not cyst, it's lipedema. And so I had to kind of take a step back from doing all of the things crafting that I love because it's just too much on my arms, for sure.
So one thing, all these things that you have to do do a special diet, try to get your exercise, try to conserve your energy and have difficulty with getting out of bed, getting dressed, cooking, all the regular things, trying to spend time with put on your compression garments, using your lipedema pumps and take all the vitamins and supplements and medications. It's a lot to be able to do every single day and maintain that level is difficult.
Very difficult. I tell people it's a full-time job just trying to deal with my health. And I feel so young, in my late 40s. I don't feel old, but physically my body feels like it's in its 90s or, so it is very frustrating to me to not be able to go and do all the things like just planting plants in the pots outside or mowing the grass or things that I used to enjoy just aren't simple tasks anymore that, maybe I took them for granted before that I could just run and do and now I can't. And it is very frustrating. And, maybe you can share what you have noticed a difference from either 12 years ago when we met versus now, the difference you've noticed in how I was then versus now.
Well, I think it's been the most over just the last year, and part of it is where you injured your knee, but even before that, it's just the fatigue, the weakness, and you used to work outside in the yard, and now that you can't really do that safely. Used to do more around the house. Now it's only small periods of time. Your arms give out faster, like you mentioned. Doing crafts and other things that you have enjoyed are now difficult. So I have definitely seen the decrease. I think it just kind of comes on, slowly, but then suddenly as well as you get older or you have an injury, and so it has made things difficult on you emotionally, mentally, physically, even made it difficult on our relationship at times.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a struggle for both of us. I try to think about, being thankful that I can still walk and take care of myself. But, 2.5 to 3 years ago, right before we found out that I had lipedema, I was almost immobile. And it was scary for both of us because you, being an occupational therapist, didn't want to see me be immobile. I, feeling still very young, didn't want to be immobile because I'm a very independent person and want to take care of myself. And so I'm thankful that we started to find answers then, but I feel like I'm more capable than I was 2.5, 3 years ago, but the fatigue is greater also. And I think it does wear on your mental health. I think Sundays is probably one of the hardest days for us to get ready for church. It's not that it's church, it's just the getting ready for me. When I used to get ready in an hour, makeup, hair, get dressed, shower, all of it, now it's like 2.5 hour process that I have to do. And it can be exhausting. And sometimes you just want to go, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this today. And I know there's people that probably don't. But once we get there, I'm fine. It's just the getting ready and the pressure to get compression on and the pressure to try to get my hair done because my arms are too heavy, all those things, it can weigh on you mentally, for sure.
And even traveling has become more difficult. Can't travel as far.
Right. Yeah. When we first moved to Virginia from West Texas, yeah, we would go back home several times a year. I did that trip multiple times by myself, and it's 24 hours one way of just driving. That's not including stopping, and I've done it several times. And it used to not be a big deal, but the last few times I did it, the last time I did it, when I went home when my grandmother passed away, I remember coming home and saying, I cannot ever do that trip by myself again because it physically was exhausting to me. My legs would get so huge with inflammation and swelling and just so much pain. And I remember, I don't want to live with that pain. And thankfully, we have figured some things out that are helping with that we will talk about in future episodes. But yes, traveling is difficult.
And I think that's one reason why we're talking about this, because people need to know they're not alone, that what they're going through, other people are going through similar situations, and that it is hard. It's hard on you. It's hard on your family, on your friends. And important not to isolate yourself and withdraw yourself. You need that social aspect of your life for your mental health, and so I think that's the purpose of doing some of these talks, or this talk today, is just people knowing, hey, I have those similar struggles. We'll talk more hopefully later about maybe some possible solutions to help make things a little easier.
Yes, but I would, my one of my desires for doing this podcast and future episodes is for you as the listeners to find a glimpse of hope, because before you find out you have lipedema, if you have it, you do feel completely hopeless. And even sometimes after you figure it out, you may feel hopeless. And it's easy to get down about that, but I would just say keep tuning in, find people that have it that you can relate to. I do a Zoom call with ladies that have lipedema that we meet every couple weeks, and it's just nice to be able to talk to other women who know what you're going through. They get the pain. Other people don't get it. Friends and family may not understand what you're going through. So try to find somebody that has it that can relate, because sometimes it doesn't mean it needs to be fixed or they need to fix you. You just need to vent about how painful it is or the struggles you've had, and to have somebody understand that is so helpful. And then I would say for family members or friends of someone who has it or maybe don't know they have it, to try to research yourself what it is and how you can help that person, and not be judgmental that, oh, they're just fat, they just need to lose weight, because it's getting misdiagnosed as obesity, and it's not obesity, and it affects 11% of women. That's huge.
Right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, honey.
We hope you enjoyed that podcast. To learn more, please visit the website lippychalista.com, or feel free to email Sarah at lippychalista@gmail.com. Sarah is also a certified life coach and financial coach, and she understands the struggles of facing lipedema. If you would like a free consultation, please visit the website jacksonlifecoach.com or email her at jacksonlifecoach@gmail.com.